Welcome to the Waves of Change podcast, where we aim to inspire the listener to awaken to their purpose and take the action required to live life on their own terms. My name is Darragh, confidence and mindset coach, speaker, entrepreneur, and humanitarian. I will be sitting down with creators from all walks of life who grew through the waves of change in their lives to be making the impact in the world they are today. So yeah, quickly tell us what you just got back to Sydney from life on the road.
Yeah. So thank you so much for having me. Anyway, so I went to the second shop, barefoot, glitter, robe, comfy clothing. And so I'd open the fridge. I go to get my tiramisu latte and my seaweed crackers. And this lady comes running up to me and she was like, "Hi." I went, "Hi." And she said, "You can't be in here." And I said, "What do you mean I can't be in here?" And she said, "You're not wearing a mask." So I said, "I'm exempt." She said, "Do you have the paperwork?" And I said, "No, I just ran out. I'm going to my hairdresser and I'm just hungry and I'm early and da-da-da. No, you can't be in this shop." And so I didn't swear this time because I already swore in the first shop. I just went, "Okay, welcome coming back to Eora, to being in Sydney. And this is what I'm up for. And you've been away for 8 months, Miriam. And this is what you're coming back to." So I was in a real funk when I got home, let alone all the space. I'm not used to it.
Yeah. Is that? I was trying to figure out if that's your crystal room. So is that the crystal room now bare?
No, this is just I put this table and I just gave myself some space instead of being in the crystal room or in downstairs in the womb room, because while we're away, Peter decided to save money, and in saving money, he cut off the Wi-Fi. Whole nother story. This is what entrepreneurs do. So I didn't have Wi-Fi either. So, running businesses, no Wi-Fi, and people's judgment.
It took you a bit of time to get it back up and running.
Yeah, it only came running yesterday, and we've been back nearly 2.5 weeks.
For fuck's sake. Internet is a pain. I'm just going to start anyways, Miriam. Miriam was sharing an incredible transition from life on the road, being free as a bird, free spirit, traveling all around the country in her RV, to life coming back into rules and regulations and structure. And I won't label the word I was going to say, but those people running around enforcing those rules. So we'll go back to the actual start. So Miriam, welcome. First of all, I'm going to acknowledge the Gadigal people. So we acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation as the traditional custodians of the country we are speaking on today. We recognize their continued connection to the land and waters and thank them for protecting this coastline and its ecosystem since time began. We pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging, and extend that respect to all First Nations people who may listen today. Miriam, aho. I would like to welcome Miriam, who was the biggest thorn in my side at the most transformational workshop that has led me to this path, down this path. Miriam has literally been the great mother / grandmother healer, energy healer, crystal goddess, but full mad bastard. So what you see is what you get. There's no in betweens, buts or maybes with Miriam. She is who she is, and she's unapologetic in who she is. And I find that incredibly inspiring, incredibly heartfelt, and to witness the level of transformation she gives to men and women all around the world, and the level of healing that she brings also is, yeah, Miriam, that's all heart, and I'm really, really grateful to have you on here today. My second mother, One of them, anyways. There's a few. There's a few. But Miriam, how are you doing today?
Look, I'm really super excited. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited when I say, "Hey, I'll do a podcast with you, Darragh. I'll do one." I mean, because there's no fucking way that I'm going to ever run one myself. If you really knew me, you would know that I support a lot of people, but I won't get off my ass and necessarily to structure and show up like you're showing. So I honor you to do
Yeah,
this every week or however you're doing, because I just know I won't do that. I'd rather
Ma-
gift and see what
Miriam,
happens.
and thank you for gifting me with your presence, because I tell you what, I didn't realize it was as much work as it is. It's a lot. And yeah, when you get, it's like, all the traffic, what is it called? The funnel. Yeah, the Bunsen burner, as everything comes into the bottleneck, it's like, right, fuck, you got to squeeze all this into like a little short space of time and deliver it out into the world. It's a lot, but you know how we roll and how we operate. Kaboom has helped train me to be able to deal with that without being overwhelmed and stressed. So,
Mm.
yeah. Miriam, do you want to tell us a bit about your story, your childhood first, where you grew up, and yeah.
Okay. Thank you for asking. My childhood was not a pleasant one. It was a privileged one, but it wasn't a pleasant one. I grew up in a very Jewish household, religious, some would say. Um, I am an only child. Thank Christ I'm an only child, because I wouldn't have left home at 14 backpedaling if I wasn't. I would have felt responsible as a Capricorn sun in astrology to look after my brothers and sisters if I had any. And I didn't. But what I did realize in being forced into religion at an early age and being kosher and growing up on the eastern suburbs where people are privileged, and learning the difference between a religious Jew and a non-religious Jew. And I decided in that moment that religion was not for me. So my parents, even though they knew that, God bless them, they're both alive to this day, they sent me to an Orthodox school called Yeshiva College,
Gosh,
where you
yeah.
had to wear, I've got goosebumps while I'm telling you this. I had to wear like a long uniform, like
The
over
black
your
one.
knee. No, it was blue with a menorah, like a label of the candle of lights on the right-hand side. I remember the uniform, and no runners, black school shoes, and I was a sporty kid. And so sport wasn't big in Judaism for girls necessarily. The boys sat in one side and the girls sat in the other. And of course, I was interested in boys early. Watch out, you're a father.
Stop it. I'm not in a rush. I'm not in a rush for sure.
Neither was Peter, and that happens all too quickly. And anyway, long story short, I basically said to my parents after year 5 or 6 at Yeshiva College, I'd love to be in a more sporty school. So they sent me to Rose Bay Public for 1 year, where of course I was with boys and I got to play sport and I was a tomboy and I was like, go away with religion, and I wouldn't go to synagogue anymore. And of course I was early in I guess blossoming or blooming. And, I was caught in the storeroom with my first boyfriend cashing. And, it was a really beautiful year that year. I remember it well. And then off to Mariah College, and come year 10, I just went, fuck it, I'm out of here. I've got to go and find out what this is all about. So I ran away from home for 12 years.
Wow.
And I went on a quest. I believed up until then that animals deserved healing more than people. And so from there, I basically worked with a lot of animals, faked my age, faked a driving license, did all those illegal things. And it's all good now, and learned a lot in those 12 years. So I ran away to the Central Coast, and that's where the next bit of the story starts.
Yeah, brilliant. Miriam, I'll tell you what, there's always another page in your book, because that's all news to me. That is all news to me. And just quickly, before we move on, in the case of forced religion, um, do you mind touching on, what do you say, pros and cons? What's a nice way of saying this, um, forcing anybody to do anything, especially at such a young age. Can you speak into what that experience was like for you, mentally and emotionally?
I saw astrologically, if you look into any children that are Capricorn suns, usually their childhoods are quite abusive or quite abrupt, and they grow up really quickly. So for me, I saw a mother that was forcing Judaism down my throat. Let's just say, take out Judaism, forcing religion down my throat. My dad was a gypsy, so he would not eat the foods out. He would eat the foods inside our home, but when he was out, he would eat whatever he wanted, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I was seeing that. And then my grandfather, bless him, who's passed, he was super religious. And the ways that I was seeing how I was supposed to be taught all of this, and basically if love is the answer, there was a lot of fear, and there was a lot of arguing, and there was a lot of, you should be doing this. So I started questioning, if there's a higher force and this is what I'm supposed to be doing, why do I feel so freaking awkward in all of this? So later on, I learned more about universe, God, Allah, Buddha, so to speak. But in the beginning, I was like, there mustn't be any of this higher source stuff, because look at my family. They're fighting. Look at my family's family. They're fighting. Yet we're all honoring, going to synagogue, not driving on Shabbat. But that's not true. We would park the car around the corner and then walk and pretend as if we're walking to synagogue. And I'm like, what? You can't let the rabbi see. So, here's this kid going, I thought it was basically honest, but everything's a lie right now.
Wow.
That was what was happening to me.
Wow, that's interesting. And I mean, it's what, like, when each different religion has its own principles, and they all believe in their own God, and then, which is fair enough and okay and cool, but to then vilify another religion and say, well, if you do that, you're going to die. So what I recognize from how I see religion, it's got an undercurrent of dominant control and manipulation and fear attached to all of it. Unless you do this, you will not be accepted, even in Christianity. I think it's Catholic. If you do this, or if you break the 10 Commandments, you're going to hell. Do you know what I mean?
That's why I love the word belief. You take away the B and the E and the F,
and just
you're left with a lie. You're left with LIE. So you take away the BE and the F. In between those is LIE. So you're left with a lie. I was told, Darragh, a lot of freaking lies.
And as you get surrounded by a fly or mopped out by a fly. And then, so for you, Miriam, then getting to the Central Coast, what was the next stage of your journey?
Oh, well, I definitely knew that I was going to be a soulpreneur and not someone who was good at, I was good at getting jobs, not so good at keeping them. I had an authoritarian problem. So I didn't like being told what to do. However, I'd last long enough. So I basically went out and got 3 jobs. My first job was pumping petrol at a petrol station. And the guy, I was a pretty little thing, skinny little thing. And we used to have, it was an Ampol on Tuggerah Lakes, not Empire Bay. Can't remember the, it's all built up now, but it was this Ampol service station. And this guy, Pat the Rat, I used to call him, He wanted me to wear a mini skirt and to go out running and
Stop it.
so we'd
He's
get
got that 70s, the American
Yeah.
70s dream going on.
Yeah, so I didn't last too long there, and I certainly learned how to put my finger in the till and learned how to, I'll
Be fully
stitch you up.
religious.
Yeah, I'll stitch you up. Thou shalt not steal. Nah, I got to pay my rent, and I'm not going to show these legs off for no reason. So, so I had that job for quite a while. I also trained the staff up, but not to steal, but so I was quite the entrepreneur there. And then I decided I'd save some horses, because horses are something that I loved and I could really relate to. So I when I had my paycheck, I would go out to the knackery and save the horses that were marked for tin can food and re-educate those horses and then sell them on. So there's another entrepreneurial mindset. I worked for a horse chiropractor because I was so good with horses, and then I got known around certain areas, and they'd say, oh, this girl's a horse whisperer, go see her. And then I learned all these. So I had lots of jobs.
Wow.
Just over broke, too much month at the end of the money job. And then someone offered me a network marketing opportunity called Abunda Vida. It was this little bottle of disgusting stuff that was supposed to heal lots of things. It cost about $2, and you bought them in packs of 12s and you sold them for 54. Well, I believed it worked on everything, so I could sell that to Eskimos and end up with a whole heap of cash. It tasted like shit, but it did work somehow. It was a bit like betadine, but so, I already started dabbling in all different things and how am I going to make more cash? And when I do make cash, what am I going to do with it?
Miriam, rock star, yeah. But just to bring it back to the horses, one about I find horses very spiritual when I'm around horses, when I'm looking in their eyes, and it's just like, it's like you're looking into the depths of the universe. That's what I feel, and really like this deep connection with horses. But for you, what exactly were you saying there? What were you were retraining them to come back into themselves, or like what exactly was that you were doing?
Oh, with the horses?
Yeah.
With the horses, well, the ones that were going to the knackery for dog meat in the olden days, I was buying them for stupid prices and then just rekindling them. I had a property and rekindling their souls to know that they're not going to be marked as dog meat. And then sometimes I'd pick a good one and sometimes I didn't because they were drugged. So I had to learn the hard way. So those were being retrained to go to good homes, hopefully. Not always was I successful. But what I did notice as well along the way is the riding for disabled, those horses that you couldn't put ordinary people on, if you put riding for disabled, like the disabled people, the horses would suddenly become like angels. But as soon as they just know. So when I hear you talk about the connection, when you look into a horse's eyes, it's like that horses just know there is something very spiritual about horses. So I had different avenues. I had to find different avenues because they weren't going back to the knackery.
Yeah, so, you didn't want to
some I retired on big properties in Darragh, and they just loved horses. So that those ones, the naughty ones that were untrainable, lived a healthy life.
The ones like you. The ones like
you. Good point. Tick. Yeah. But basically my heart was to re-educate the horse so that they could end up to make money and go to a good home. And animals deserved healing more than people did at this point.
What age were you around then?
It says on my license back then around 17, but I was probably about 15 or 16.
Oh, right. You were one of those ones. Fair play to you, I tell you, getting a dodgy one of them back in the day. I can't imagine a printing machine or whatever it is that created boy was too easy to come by.
It was done differently back then. It started with your birth certificate, and then I did it all above board. It's just I switched the birth
Yeah.
certificate so that I looked older, so I got an above board license. And
Oh, Miriam. And so from that, what was the next evolution and the next way of change in your life?
I was really had a chip on my shoulder back then. I used to pay my rent by going to the pub and playing pool, and in pool competitions. And that was the time where girls weren't really that accepted in places and could play pool and win. So I had a few moments where I decked a few blokes and had no problem with it. You know, I was a fit horse rider. You know, if some bloke came along and said, "Oh, you got no bottle on the black," I'd say, Yeah, and you know they'd hang on the end of the pocket and do all the things that men who aren't in their power back then would do to take your mind off winning. Fortunately, I was already very switched on, tuned in, and tapped in because of my knowledge around horses, dogs, animals. I was very centered, but I also was very angry. So I might have won, but if we had one beer too many or whatever, I had no problem if they were coming on to me or whatever. I have decked quite a few in my life.
What, a left hook?
No, just a right hook. And sometimes straight to the balls. I had to, because I was living by myself. I was walking home by myself. Yeah. I'm not saying it's good. You're asking me about the days of before I'm a healer and loving on people. So, my husband's seen me deck someone when we first met. He was just like, "Oh, fuck, what was that?"
Holy fuck. That's the woman. She can look after me forever. You're coming home and you're staying home. And just whereabouts were you? Because like there's a huge culture, and I recognize it when I go, into the smaller towns around Australia. Over here, what they call the bogans, that like redneck type people. Like, again, full respect. I'm not labeling anybody, but this is what people in Australia label these little towns, like the rednecks or the bogans or the how would you explain them? And then also, how would you explain life sort of growing up in those towns?
Well, this was the Jewish little princess heading to the bush, Gosford, Eora, Kincumber, places that she'd never really been before. And so she had to explore, and Darragh, Yarramalong, places that, I just had to become very street smart. And pretty little thing, city slicker turned country bumpkin in her little riding boots and all of that. I mean, I had to learn. I was an angry kid, I was so angry. My mum didn't know where I was. I was like, all people are, fucked up, which is still true. A lot of people still are. Look at what we're growing up in now. Look, a lot of fear. But I, generally speaking, I loved the country and I loved the people that I met until I didn't. And I wasn't scared of saying so.
Yeah. And so then from then on, what was the next? Where did you go to after that?
So
and
I stayed.
Also, why were you so angry?
Oh, I was angry because I was a bullied kid. I wasn't smart. I was told I was not smart. Clearly, that's not true.
Yeah.
I was not good at maths, but I was great at making money because I already proved that to myself. I had great scruples. I was angry because of my mum. I probably, if I was totally, and I am totally honest, I'm still angry with her. I've done a lot of work around it, but she just keeps surprising me and surprising me, and I forgive her. I give her an inch and she takes a mile, and it's still going on in my life. I'm 57 years young now, right? My mum's in her 70s, and I'm now coming to terms that she has been undiagnosed with something, and that's the first woman in my life that I met, and that was my role model. And so I was angry at that. I was angry at the way she used to say, compare me to other children who were really smart. I was angry at my dad for not being there. So I just disappeared, basically. One day I was at school, the next day I wasn't.
Wow.
Bye.
See you later. What was that like? Like just fucking everything you've ever known, just up and smoke and gone. What was that like mentally and emotionally, making
I
that
think I
change?
was like 50 in a 14-year-old body. I'm more a child now than I was then. I was very grown up. It's like I just had this street smartness of, I'm going to get a job, I'm going to do this. I was just, and I looked old when I was young, like I looked like I just thought it was a normal thing to do. If shit is not good, you just run away. And a lot of the times throughout my life, because of that pattern, I believe you can heal your wounds, but they're never totally healed. As soon as you're triggered somehow, you go back to your subconscious pattern. So, if you really know me, and I know you know me quite well, and you're learning a lot more right now, in my marriage now, my second marriage together between us, there's 5 marriages between Peter and I, but I'm on my second. In the very beginning, if I was triggered by him or he said something that sounded like my mum speaking, I would run away. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Bye. No one traps me. We might be married, I might have a kid, but I'm out of here. So that's a very old default. Even coming back to Sydney, going into those shops as we started. I'm like, let's get in the RV and let's get out of here. I'm had enough. It's an old pattern.
And I mean, eventually we got to face off with this, don't we? And this is a great highlight. Thanks for bringing it. It's like, Preston, our mentor, full love and respect to Alexi Panos and Preston Smiles. It was their magic and their healing center that brought me and you together and creating immense amount of impact throughout the years and throughout the world also. But what as a Preston says, what we resist persists, and what we truly look at dissolves. So what we resist persists, and what we truly look at dissolves. And the point I'm getting at here is for, the listeners to understand that, we can run away from our problems as much as we want, but the farther you run, the further they chase you. And the more we say we don't want to have something in our life, the more we attract it. So, Miriam, fair play to you for highlighting that. And to just bring back to, the round peg in a square hole analogy, and, the school system and the way your parents, use comparison to, fear you into being how they wanted you to be. And, and then also this system, this what's it called, patriarchal system that has been created throughout the world by the same people. Um, fitting like, for instance, I have a friend, even you, but I have a friend whose son is a genius, exactly like you are speaking about yourself. He is just turned 12, and super street smart, super clever. He's one of those where he'll mingle his way into getting something. Oh, look, at my mom said that, that you can get me that, that ice pop or something like that. Like completely, oh yeah, and you think there's nothing wrong with it, and he's just like manipulated you into what he wants and got what he was asking for. Super clever, super great little businessman, little marketing man. Kane, I'll say his name anyway, Kane, and Kerry is his mother. He's here, he's in botany. And then, sure, maybe I shouldn't have said the names. Fuck. Anyways, the school system are putting pressure because like Preston was dyslexic and told that he wasn't good enough and he didn't fit into this system. And now look at Preston, similar to
Mhm.
yourself. You were pushed into this system, and now look at the healing and the impact you're creating in the world, in the house, and you travel and do all the things. So can you just speak into how the old school system, what your belief is around trying to fit
Okay.
a round peg into a square hole?
First of all, if any of your kids ever listen to this, and one day they will, Darragh, your kids will listen to Daddy's podcast and they'll say, I met this mad woman on Daddy's podcast. First of all, children are sponges, right? And I was a sponge. I had a photographic memory. I believe in schools, like we sent our kids, and I didn't even like showing up at the school with my feathers and my glitter and da da da. For parent and teacher night, and smelling like essential oils, and doing symbols as I walk in the door, and oh my god, that's a headmaster's office. Oh god, I know I was there for sure. If school called me, I was like, shit, all my childhood stuff is up. But what I really believe that school could be doing is teaching network marketing, U+2, N+2, business school, teaching kids that they don't have to be 2 + 2 is 4, 4 + 4 is 8, 8 + 8 is 16, etc., etc. They need to find a way where if you're kinesthetic, then you stroke them into the energy of what they are. If the child is visual, then you give them meditation pieces so that they can imagine, and imagination and intuitiveness is so closely linked that you want to bring out the goodness in the children and not squash them down with other people's beliefs and breathing into what we are taught, which probably is all bullshit anyway, from what I'm learning around Aboriginal and Indigenous people and history, her story, all of that. Let's just break the mold. And if you end up educating your children, do what they love to do. Find what they love to do. If they're builders naturally and they build Lego cities, and you look at them and go, oh my God, there's the next town planner. Bring that on. Look at the way they're recycling the water, and they're giving back, and they're outside the square. If they're really good at video games, teach them how to get paid doing video games. Sure, get them outside, get them meditating, appreciating nature. They love animals. Take them to every animal that there is and let them hear what the animals are saying to them, because they speak to them. So it's like where they're, if someone loves doing the gardening and they've got all these, look, they've got their indoor gardens and they're growing all these vegetables and they're healthy and they're yummy and they're replanting, repotting. That's what you want your kids to do. That's how I brought up our kids. Do what makes you feel happy. Okay, you're not good at math. Don't do maths. I don't care. You got a calculator. I left school at 14 and I'm a solopreneur. I have 3 businesses and I help a lot of people. Do what makes them feel good. Tessie hated reading. I hated reading. I was dyslexic. I couldn't see because I could only see entities and energies and things that are walking past that no one else could see. I can still see those. People told me I was mad. So trust that your children know what they're seeing.
Yeah, it's incredible, because I get to witness that, because now, and I'm glad, the path that I've been down, and all of you've seen me in some of my most vulnerable states, I would say, my vulnerable states. And again, with every breakdown, there's a breakthrough. And now, with obviously the level of awareness I have today, it's just like, to watch my children and see, what are they seeing, what just the childlike curiosity. Like Bodhi is crawling up the stairs, they're going over and they're rubbing the leaves off the trees, and they're just just like that fresh blank canvas, and all on which is another thing, and what I believe is I'm just here to stay out of the way and make sure they don't walk off a cliff, basically. or walk out in front of a car or anything like that. But as much as I can, not a perfect parent, which brings me into conflict with myself because I don't eat meat. And, you know, it's like I'm telling them that I'm not feeding them meat, but it's also, is it my right to deprive them of what their choices might be? But until they're that age to do that, it's like, what the fuck do I do here? So I choose not to eat meat, and it's just that awareness of it. But watching them, the childlike curiosity is what fills me up the most with the most joy. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, thanks for that. And so, what the next part of your story, Miriam? Where did that take us?
Well, let's move forward after the rebelliousness and the pubs and the drinking and the drugs and the I wasn't like, oh yeah, I took up being a stripper because I wanted this really expensive horse. And so I stripped for 10 jobs, and that was like a lot of money back in the day. Didn't know how to move like I do now. Was totally, completely not embodied at all. So I did that, and I got the horse, and there were embarrassing moments along there. In fact, I have to do my most embarrassing moment. You're just triggering me to remember something, but that's probably for another podcast. But so I
Well, there's no
tried all
house
these.
barred on here, just so you know. No
Okay,
house barred. Everything is on the table.
it's on the table. I had none back then. Yeah, basically the first stripping job I ever did was Lot 1, Tumbiumbi Road, and it was a bloke that I knew. And the first thing he said as I walked in, you can imagine you've got 3 songs to dance to. I was a French maid, cake in one hand, bottle of wine in the other, champagne in the other. Look at him and go, I know you. Oh my freaking God. Shit. And he says to me, you've got really big thighs. And I say, all the better to hold on to, but you wouldn't know about that. Drop the bottle of wine. Thank God I had a bouncer. And then start, the music's da, 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 da. I couldn't get my gloves off quick enough, like da, 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 da. Yeah, I'm wrapping this little boa constrictor, and he's already told me I've got big thighs, and I've already said my one-liner and dropped the 10 minutes lasted 5 freaking hours as far as I was concerned. Collected my $500 and just said, well, I'm not doing it again. Then I got dance lessons. Anyway, I ended up with a horse. It was a funny moment. I went and did 10 other jobs. There was a fatogram, there was a gorillagram, there was, all these different things that you could be, and you had a chauffeur that drove you around. I thank God I did. I'm so proud of myself for doing it sober too, because I didn't have to, because of course they would encourage you to be as loose as a goose kind of thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was that. And then 12 years passed, and along the way of that 12 years of selling off the back of a truck, learning how to be an auctioneer. Instead of going up in price, you go down in price, buying the ends of stock lines, piling those up, filling up the truck, going somewhere and advertising and selling off the back of the truck before the $2 shops were around. So I did all of that. That was amazing. So that was in the 80s, and I earned shitloads of black money and bought a piece of land with my boyfriend at the time. That's a whole nother story. Not going there right now, don't feel like it. And along the way, I suddenly got interested in healing, because this guy that I worked for said to me, I'm so good with the animals. It's time for the healer to heal thyself.
Oh, wow.
And that's what I did.
Wow. Incredible. And I mean, what I'm hearing there is like another change, an evolution into who you really are. I won't say were, because you are. Exactly, and that's it. No more. You are. So, what in your mind and your energetic aura, like, what was that like mentally and emotionally? Dealing with that, or being recognized for that after all of the years.
Well, in the beginning, when I first realized that I was seeing things from different realms,
Mm-hmm.
and that I did have something in these hands, that I was switched on, tuned in, tapped in, that my first book was The Handbook to Higher Consciousness by Johnny Keys Jr., that I was someone who could hear animals talking to me, and then I could say that to their owners of the animals. Maybe you could take him out for a walk more. He's telling me that he wants to go for a walk more often, or he wants to be ridden this way. So as this started unraveling, I was like, what is this? So I decided that I'd go and study massage, and it was the School of Integrated Massage in Tumbiumbi, a gentleman called David Griffith. I don't know if he's alive or not, but he said I had good hands, and I believed him. And of course, he liked to put his hands on me. Whole nother story. But he did recognize someone who could massage. And so then I did remedial massage, and then I did sports medicine massage, and I did all of that. But what was happening to me is I would touch you for a massage, and then I would bring all that energy into my body. So if I did 10 massages a week, I would feel like shit afterwards.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Then I went, I wonder what that is. And so then I went off and studied Reiki, found this amazing woman, came back to Sydney, got to know what is Reiki. And then my experience went from there and there and there and there and there, through network marketing, through every avenue, like a spider in a big spider web, going, tell me more, tell me more. Did you get very far?
Tell me, boy.
So it was like that.
Yeah, and Miriam, I just want to acknowledge, obviously a womanness or womanship, but also what I'm recognizing to be a dominant pattern here is, and in the world today, how women have to deal with certain shit in regards to men. And men just thinking they can put their hands on you. Not all men are like this, and I'm no angel. I've been what I've been through in my life and how I used to live previously. Because what would I say? It's in the space now today because something has happened in Ireland that involved a woman, and it's the whole conversation again. Can you speak about what it's like what it was like for you growing up, and these experiences that you had to put up with some bullshit from unconscious men?
Well, this is a really big one for me because I had blacked out so much of my childhood. And it's only a recent event, as much as I've been doing this since I was 14, probably 7 years old, with the pineal gland opening up and all sorts of things. A recent event, which happened with my mother, to do with money, threw me back in a subconscious moment where I was in a dentist chair and I was touched, and she'd left me in that dentist chair. A bathtub situation with other children in the bath where the adult was bathing me and his hands wandered. So there's been so many moments now that are coming up, 57 years young, and birthdays always bring things up as well. My birthday was recent, that I didn't know what I know now. So I just accepted it as is. But I always thought it was interesting that when I took our daughter to the dentist, that she was never leaving my sight when she went into the dentist chair. I always found that interesting because she's a young, I just wouldn't leave her in places. I just wouldn't leave her. And now I know why, because I was so wounded from that. So I accepted anything that my parents put me in, any places that they put me in, I totally accepted. I didn't start questioning this until I, step in as a coach in all these different areas that you and I have been in. And because we're walking the talk and doing the work behind the scenes, when something comes up like that, like holding sacred circle, I will speak into it without wanting to fix it, repair it, or be healed, because it just needs to be witnessed. And then I can deal, my subconscious or my humanness can deal with it. I do believe that we're put on the planet in a human body to experience all that is. So that means the medicines, the drugs, the alcohol, what your karma is in this lifetime, so that you don't have to do it again.
So good. So good. And, you know, you mentioned, thank you for your openness as well, which is beautiful and encouraging. And what I want to highlight is, can you speak into the important, or how important it is to open up and speak these things out of your system?
I really believe if you're in a sacred container where there are strong parameters and you trust the person who you're speaking through or with and being seen in it, it is really important, because you can't fix yesterday or tomorrow. The power is right here, right now. I mean, imagine if you had a place in your first masturbation, your first sexual experience, your first moment of being dumped by a woman, my first moment of anything, making my first check, to just be seen and witnessed or celebrated or heard by our elders. I think the world would be a very different place. So if anyone is listening to this podcast and doesn't know how to get that energy out, reach out to Darragh. He has been trained in really, really beautiful areas of life. He knows how to hold the energy without telling you you're wrong, without telling you that you should not have done that. Just to be seen and witnessed in those moments is enough, so that you can heal and know that you're perfect, whole, and complete. Living a human experience, which is not easy.
Which is such a fucking roller coaster. And thank you very much for your kind words, Miriam. It really is. You really, you know, people, like, for me, it was always that thing where you know, somebody telling me how to live that was in a suit and a tie. I never opened up or resonated with that type of, not particularly that person, but that type of teaching. For me, that's where I resonate with all of you guys, and how we all connect, because I've witnessed you in your shit, you've witnessed me in my shit, and the vulnerability and the snots and the tears and all of that, and the importance of, you know, being mentored by people who have actually experienced. We say you can't take a client where you have not gone before yourself. So in other words, you can't give a client a piece of paper and tell them to do something that you have not had the balls or the courage to face off with yourself. So thanks for highlighting that as well. And you know, just to lighten it up a little bit in regards to celebration, Miriam, how important is celebration to you?
Oh, fuck. I love celebrating. Like, you know, I'm no freaking angel. I am a party animal to this day. I still do CBD. I still have a drink. I still dance for no reason. I still run naked in the middle of Mullumbimby when people say you shouldn't be doing that. There's snakes or what. Celebration, even the little things. I don't care how you celebrate, but you get to be witnessed. I get to be witnessed in my celebration. You know, it's a celebration sitting here with you, Darragh. It's a celebration when I see my clients or my students, you know, rise. Like, you've got a podcast, I haven't. Let's celebrate that, right? Thank God I don't have a podcast, and thank God we do, right? So it's like celebration is everything. I think it's so easy to slip into the, okay, next, okay, I got that, tick that off. No, stop, smell the roses and celebrate.
Beautiful. And how important is it? Like, you know, you know, what has just come up for me. One of my skill teachers, when I was in primary school, I think I was in 5th class, maybe you was called that year 5, but she said, watch, it's like in the blink of an eye, you'll be 40. and you'll be looking back and saying, like, what just happened type of thing. And the importance just like of enjoying the moment. As you said, tomorrow you can't change it. I don't know what your saying was, but yesterday you can't change. The future you're not guaranteed. But in right now, here and now, you can celebrate. So about the importance of the journey or enjoying the journey, Miriam, can you give us a few tips on what you do to enjoy your journey every day?
Every day. Well, when I was in the RV, it was different, but I'm back at home. So every single day I get to sit in the sauna and dive into a freezing freaking cold pool and be in the moment and really, feel the sweat dripping, feel the elder body that is no longer a size 8, and be grateful that she works and she moves in the way that she does move. There is no destination. There is only the journey. You never get it right and you never get it wrong. You can never say the right thing to the wrong person. You can just only be. And if you touch one person the way that I'm touching you and you're touching me right now through this screen, my life's work is done.
Mm-hmm.
Be kind, and sometimes speak your truth, and it's going to hurt. Some people aren't going to want to hear your truth. Well, fuck it. They need to hear. If you employ someone like me or you, they're going to hear the truth. That's how you hold them to their highest consciousness. I just feel like in order to create world peace, one has to be peaceful within.
So good. If you want to change the world, you change yourself. Isn't that what they say? Or you heal yourself. You want to heal the planet, you heal yourself. And it's incredible because it's the aura that gives off, to the rooms and the spaces and places that you go into, that elevates the vibrations in that room, and it brings that joy or whatever it is in that moment. And and then the importance of also not making yourself wrong or shaming yourself, and then also like holding on to that wrongness or shame or pain that you've experienced or you have put onto somebody else. But for me, for instance, like there's not a single part of my story that I would change given the chance, because I wouldn't be sat here today if I could do that, and I did. So the importance of letting it go and moving forward as quick as you can, not to block it out or suppress it, but just accept it. It's happened. Now what do I do moving forward? So Miriam, you you are in different realms, energy, different realms, different dimensions. Can you give us an insight into energy and Reiki and all that you do, and all the different worlds that you transition through or journey through?
It's a really beautiful space to sit in, as you cannot see me because I'm in a podcast, but my eyes are closed. All I will tell you is you're more than this body. I'm more than this body. And Reiki means universal life force energy. It's your birthright. And the veils are being lifted right now. The dimensions are transcending into earthly realms and up into atmospheric realms. What you seek is absolutely coming through to you, for you. If you're awake, you're going to be even more activated and awakened. If you're asleep, you're going to be prodded a little bit, or you're going to be left behind. Fear means face everything and remember, or false evidence appearing real, or feeling excited and ready. I would rather sit in the lane of feeling excited and ready than sit in the lane of follow the head sheep until I'm no longer on the planet. I believe we are here to live, to get excited, to be in the moment, to play really hard, and to celebrate every single day. Even if it's just, I woke up today and I feel freaking awesome. I would listen to people who elevate you, who surprise you, who make you laugh for no reason. And if you're ever stuck in those moments and you don't know who to contact, you need to listen to podcasts like these and to reach out to the founders of the podcast and say, I'm not having a great day today. And that person with a touch of love will say, I hear you, I feel you. Here's what I'd love for you to do today. Just remember 3 things you're grateful for and say them out loud. And with that, go out and help someone, and that will make you feel so much better. This is Miriam, Shits, Giggles and Rainbows, over and out.
Miriam, I love it. And there's two things you said there, which is incredible, about the being grateful, and also, if you're feeling shit, and the energy and vibration that giving brings to you. Like in general to everybody, just can you just highlight that a little bit more, in what this robotic overarching oligarch has created, this system of consumerism where everybody believes they need the next thing in order to feel fulfilled, happy. This object, or this makeup, when you have this makeup, then you will be good enough. When you have this haircut, and all of that whole consumerism bullshit. So everybody, like, not everybody, a lot of people are all about taking, and then being left feeling empty or unfulfilled. So can you explain, the other side of life, and how important it is to give, and what that does to your energy field, your karma, and all of the things?
Well, you see, it's really interesting. If I'm depressed, which is very rarely, but if I am depressed, I go out and help someone. However, if I'm not asking for what it is that I need from others, then I'm ripping people off by not receiving. So it is, if you picture the number 8.
Yes.
I want you to keep reciprocating or reliving the infinite number 8 and draw that to feel great. Just trace it around and then bring that energy back inside. I give to live. I receive to give. I'm open to receiving. I allow, I deserve, I receive. And see how you feel with that. Only do what feels great. If you're over giving, then it's time to receive. If you feel like I used to, as I revert back to giving massages, and I used to feel like I've got everyone else's pain, I was not filling my own cup until I learned Reiki, right? So you give to receive, you receive to give, and what feels aligned, and ask and it is given, and believe in a higher source.
Yeah, 100%. And Miriam, I've got a couple more questions for you. Are you pushed for time here?
No, I'm fine. Just know that my dogs might bark.
That's okay. What is it? Lunchtime, is it?
No, just Pete's coming back in.
They just do what they do. So, first of all, in regards to, the podcast, the waves of change, and, like what my belief is, what one we know we're all guaranteed death, this physical death, and many deaths in between that one, but ego death, should I add, but also change. Like, we're not the same child that's born into the world, and how many times we change throughout our lives, to where we're at right now and today. And what, through this work and many of my clients, and what we witness in the rooms and the spaces that we do, and some people, a lot of people cling on to their past identity. So, can you speak into what it was like for you, transitioning through different stages of your life, different changes in your life?
Okay, for one thing for sure, change is the essence of our life. Nothing stays the same, not even for a second. I'm breathing now, and my next breath is going to be different to my first breath. So, I've not been, as much as I'm a Capricorn sun, Taurus moon, Aquarius rising, change is the essence of your life. You're not going to be, wrinkleless at age 57. You know, the wrinkles represent your
Miriam,
trials and
it doesn't even look like you have any, to be honest. I
my
can't
love.
see it.
But I can tell you, I can feel the changes in these breasts, in these moments, in this physical body. And what I will say to you, like, the older I get, the better I feel, and the more I know less of. It might feel like I know a lot more, but the more I zip my lips, the better off I'll be in understanding the presence of what is. Just remember, those that listen to this podcast, change is the essence of your life. And if you are not willing to change, trust me, everything else around you will. So you better get on this bandwagon and change with the rest of us and be your own freaking true person. Like, turn off the freaking news. Turn off the news. Constantly negative news, CNN, you know?
Yeah.
Make your own news. Tell your vision instead of television. You know, turn off the idiot box. Fucking hell. Like, turn that shit off. Maybe we're going to create an idiot box of change where it says, you know what? You are perfect, whole and complete. Just remember that. Bye for now.
Just that one note, one sentence on repetition. But there was my old home economics teacher. We used to think it was he's fucking mad. You know, he had the belt, the flirty jeans. He used to cycle. He wouldn't go on the buses and all of those things because of the climate and the pollution. And he had a TV, but he got the guts of the television taken out, and he painted a goldfish bowl inside of it, so it wasn't even a real goldfish. And we were like, he's fucking stone mad. But now that I've grown up, we have the telly in our house, but it's not connected. It's not connected to anything unless the kids want something. We get it online, but the TV is not connected to anything. So now we can understand where he was coming from. And then just trusting the process, trusting the process and your intuition as we evolve through these changes. You know, Miriam, have you anything to say on that?
I think it's interesting that your throat chakra is doing what it's doing right now. So just pay attention to that. Because I think universally right now, the throat chakra is just here. There's so much fear of people speaking out and people wanting to do what they want to do. And again, the nugget of anything that I truly want to do, be, or have, it starts with the mind and then embodying that throughout my body. It is important that power is knowledge, and you are powerful when you have the knowledge. And really don't believe everything that you hear or see in the newspapers. I think I could speak into this more and more and more now. There are so many people that were already, little girls should be seen and not heard. If you're a witch, you get off with your head. Well, I'm all of that. And so are my children. And I think it's time to put your stake in the ground and say what it is that you want to say to your tribe and let them hear you.
Just got chills. And just again, my throat chakra, but just to highlight, the throat chakra is the chakra of truth. And whenever it comes online like that, it's it's letting you know that you're either speaking truth or you're hiding truth. But it's around that. It's something that wants to come out. And again, this is the purpose of the podcast, is to awaken people into their own purpose, or to spark their curiosity to take the action required to go and live life on their own terms.
Absolutely.
No longer square peg in a round hole. So yeah, thanks for bringing that to light, Miriam. And just so you've got 1 million crystals. If anybody knows, like, it's like Miriam is like the crystal maze hadn't a patch on you, and look at, there we go. Miriam, the most crystals I've ever seen in my life has been in your house. And that is not a lie. We're talking millions of crystals here. We're not talking a few hundred. So, Miriam, the energetics of that, and when did you find your love and connection?
I collected rocks when I was a kid. I already
Right.
knew rocks were a pretty amazing thing because they come of the earth. And then
Mm-hmm.
as I got older, I realized when someone gave me pretty colored stones like tumble stones or whatever, if I placed them underneath my massage table as I was learning, and if I did the colors of the rainbow, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, that if I placed them under the table and people saw them, that's beautiful. But that if they didn't, that was fine too. But all the energies would come out from the body so that the body could heal. So it was an attraction to pretty things, which is the part Taurus. Taurus love pretty things, ruled by
Mm-hmm.
Venus.
Mm-hmm.
However, once I saw what crystals do, tiger's eye, citrine, lapis lazuli, amber, moldavite, tektite. I'm just looking at all what's diamonds, girl's best friend, fluorite, turquoise. Turquoise can actually help you change the weather. Once you tune in, tap in, and to really feel the energy of what these crystals do and where they come from and where they're sourced, you can make grids that will heal the planet as well. So it's part of the bigger picture. So yes, there are crystals buried under our land when we did dig up stuff, and there's a big rose quartz under the front door when you enter our house, which is why often people start crying before they even come into my healing room, because they're being activated at the front door. That means the postman, that means anyone who delivers anything feels something when they get to our red door. So, and I've learned it also with the vibrations of seeds, sounds, and your body is your own instrument as well, and it has its own sounds. So anything that's set with intention to healing will vibrate through the ceiling as they walk through our house. And our RV is full of crystals now as well.
Yeah, so saying I met your dealer.
Yeah, you did. You told me.
I met your dealer. But just first, I just want to give some love and gratitude to Mother Earth, and you know how she produces these absolute marvels of beauty. Miriam showed me one of her pieces, which was an opal piece that was like blown away. You showed me the pictures as well of where it came from, and the other beautiful pieces that came with it. And you know, there's just so much to be grateful for on this planet, whether it's something shiny, or the trees, or you know, the waves, because I love the surf and the ocean, and then even just speaking of like a good friend of ours and colleague, Andreas, and he only seen a wild dolphin for the first time. What age is Andreas, really quick?
Oh, I have no idea. That's some of my crystals. Oh, that was a shell. Andreas must be in his 40s, and he's in Southern California right now, and he was out and he saw his first dolphin. He said to give you a big squeeze and a hug. He was blown away. Like, yeah, what we take for granted as we walk down the Bondi Junction, not quite Bondi Junction, but say Bondi, and we see the dolphins playing on the waves or behind the wake on a boat when we had the boat. It's just like, oh, there's a dolphin. Like, yes, it's beautiful. It's harmonizing. There's all those beautiful things. But for someone to get into his 40s and not see that yet, other than at a zoo, that's pretty amazing. That was one of his highlights.
Yeah. So again, it's just so right now, my intention with this little quick chat is, you know, the importance of embracing whatever you're seeing in the moment, because some people have gone through the whole life and not experienced, or would love to change places with you and experience the life that you live and feel every day. So with that, Miriam, I'm feeling really good, and it's been an absolute, as a new firecracker, hilarious and emotional roller coaster. And thank you very much for coming on. It's been a to be continued, I reckon. I reckon there's definitely another stage.
There is definitely to be continued. Yes, this is series 1.
Series 1.
Feel free to hit me up anytime. It's not like you're a long way away. And you can.
I will be hitting you up soon, by the way. I haven't forgotten.
Yeah, no, that's fine. If anyone wants to find me, you can find me on miriambrewer.com. You can find me on Instagram, Moments with Miriam or Miriam. What you see is what you get in all areas of my life. Sometimes you see too much, but that's okay too. It's all about being authentic and real. And it's been a pleasure to serve with you, Darragh.
Yes.
I wish you all the best.
Thank
wherever
you.
This podcast goes. Have fun.
Always.
And don't worry what room you're in, you're always going to be you.
Always, 1,000,000%. Miriam, there's a question that we close out with.
Yes.
Quickly, actually, before we go, two things. The importance of being your own boss. Because
Let me answer that first.
Yeah.
The importance of being your own boss, because I'll forget.
And
the importance
marketing.
of being your own boss is, first of all, make sure that you can earn enough to support your family. But more importantly, do what you do because you love doing it, and the money's going to come. And, as you've already heard, I'm great at getting jobs, but not good at keeping them. Maybe that's a lie, because I've had one for 7 years now. It's just important to do what you love.
Mm-hmm.
And don't give up your job until you know you can cover the family expenses. If you are the masculine serving the family and the woman's off having babies, wait till it's your time to do that. But work on your part-time career of your own authority.
Yeah.
Part-time, you can earn a fortune. You really can.
Love it. And now, Miriam, to close us out, the name of the podcast, The Waves of Change. What does the waves of change mean to you?
Again, change is the essence of my life. Without change, I would not be who I am. You got to ride the wave up and down, and sometimes you'll get a little dumped in that ocean, and that's okay. Take a deep breath. Don't put on your G-string, put on your big undies, and head out again and hit that wave again. And this time you'll stand up and ride it really well. That's from Not a Surfer. This is Miriam. Shits, giggles, and rainbows. I laugh a lot.
I love it, Miriam. How we started, how we finished. Of course, it's that figure eight that you just showed, the universal symbol. The figure out.
Doing that.
We started laughing, we close it laughing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. If anything resonated for you, please leave a comment below. If there's anyone who may need to hear, please share. I love yous. Have a lovely day.